No,
Thanks for letting us know.
Stevie was out here talking to me a little bit.
Oh, it's time to go.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
come on, don't you bother me.
You bother me, kid.
Go on, Junior.
God, what was it? My daughter said something yesterday. I can't even remember, but man, she said it like a 30s gangster. And she didn't mean to. And I was like, when'd you turn into a 30s gangster?
What'd you say?
I can't remember. I don't know. I'm fucking old. I don't know.
We see
I
you
can't.
running your mouth after that big hit the other day.
Yeah. It was like it was just like so random. And I don't know. Whatever. All right.
You keep your trap shut, you know what's good for you. That's this episode. We're gonna do this episode in the Middle Atlantic accent. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
our boys in the Pacific.
Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. See, and then I dropped into the Southern after it. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it.
Well, I'm just tickled pink to be here, Ryan.
All right.
Good fellows a scoop.
Get your comics here. You you want to be in the comic papers, don't you? Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by the master of 30s impressions of gangsters, Levi Erickson, the creator of The Big. Levi, how's it going?
I'm trying to think of something that I can
He's
say.
got nothing.
I used it all up before.
Uh,
Damn it.
well, this is the episode. This is it.
Can we shoot the intro again?
No. Yeah.
No, we're going. Keep going.
Okay, we're good. All right. No, let's keep it going. I think we keep it in. I thought it was perfect. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Thought it was perfect.
Oh yeah.
So this episode, we're going to talk about some recent pickups that we've gotten. I
Yeah.
know Levi said he just went to the comic store the other day. And I'll be honest, I barely ever go to the comic store. It's probably a once a year thing for me.
That's because you live a year away travel, on horseback.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. We don't have
You're crossing the Rubicon to get up to a decent comic shop from where you
so
live.
there's we have well, I don't even know if I want to mention the name, but well, there's a store in Rock Hill, and it's called I think it's called Rock Hill Comics and Games. Um, and when you go in there, you'll realize there's something missing, and that's the comics. There's no fucking comics.
I knew it.
It's all games.
Yeah.
So which I get it. That's where you're gonna make your money.
It's pretty cool that like Rock Hill, the denizens of that area, York County, like games that much.
Yeah. Well, I had, at the library con that you went to, and I didn't even realize that. I felt like a jerk, but the guy you were sitting next to was the owner of the Pixies Keep, which is right in York.
Yeah.
So and he does sell comics now. It's all back issues and stuff like that. So a few episodes ago when we talked about the origin story, and I picked up that X-Men with the Silvestri cover, I picked it up
Yeah.
in his store.
Nice.
So he doesn't have anything new. He still primarily go in there and get your RPG stuff and Pokemon cards and stuff like that, which I enjoy. We still try and go there and support him.
Yeah.
But he does have some back issues and stuff like that. available if you want to go through his long boxes. So
Very cool.
so Levi, what'd you pick up recently?
Yeah, so when I started this channel, I was going to do a feature every week called Picks and Pulls of the Week,
Mm-hmm.
and picks being interesting comics from the archive or something that I've come across, and pulls being what's in my pull bag. So maybe this is sort of revisiting that concept. I would say the biggest comic I want to talk about right now is a Kickstarter I backed. Uh, I caught wind of it like a year ago, and it's Apollo City Comics, and a very what I thought was a very ambitious project. There are 14 stories in this anthology, and it's kind of like really up our alley in particular because it's punk rock comics related.
Oh, cool.
So it, it arrived, and it is, and oh sheesh, and out come the comics,
Oh, that's cool. All
and
right.
you can get that reference. So this
Yeah.
is Apollo City Comics, and a big shout out to Brandon, who was a guest early on when this show was just me,
Yeah.
and so we talked about this, and that was right around the time, during the Kickstarter, obviously got well funded. But this is a big. I'm not sure if this is 64 pages or if they are constrained to a page format. It's just there's 14 stories. It's a big book. It's flat, it's subtle stitched,
It's
uh,
great.
bound, and that's your table of contents. If you're seeing that, just to those are all the different credits, all the different stories.
Keep moving it around so I can read it. It's good.
Yeah, I know, right? Um, but yeah, and it's all like punk rock adjacent sort of subject matter,
Well, that's cool.
and you really get to see a lot of different interpretations of this stuff. I think because
I like the coloring on that one.
yeah, I've dabbled in um I've dabbled in doing some stories about punk rock
Yeah.
type stuff. Um and I like that Gene Simmons thing going on right now,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I
Eh,
immediately went to that.
yeah, it's a kid's history on, type of deal.
Yeah.
Teenage Babylon,
Uh-huh.
and that's Brandon's that's his story going on there. But I mean, some of the stuff is just like so incredible. And these creators here going on. I mean,
Oh, nice.
so this is Apollo City Comics. This is lesser known comics. This is Brandon, the Teenage Babylon. Um, there are podcasts. I believe Teenage Babylon is a podcast, and he also does the Comics Wellspring podcast. Um,
Is that printed through Comix Wellspring, I'm assuming?
I 100% know it is, and by saying 100%, well, yeah,
Okay.
100, which I've used Comics Wellspring for my comics, and I love them. I know there's lots of different sources you can go with, but they came through in a clutch when I needed some comics fast. So,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. We
Yeah.
show off some of the freebies that came with my tier, I suppose. Cool postcards,
Nice.
and all that kind of. I'm trying. I'm still adjusting to all this
I'm gonna
shit.
break the set.
But yeah, cool. And this is really cool. That's the you get the reference. That's the Discord house, the minor threat.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah. Okay.
homage thing. But I got a cool patch,
Nice.
Apollo City Comics. That'll go. Cool sticker. Digging this sticker. Lesser known comics. So a lot of cool stuff came with that. back your Kickstarters, find those creators you love, back those Kickstarters, get cool stuff.
Right.
And the links to all that stuff for them will be in the description down below.
All right. Well, let me go next because that was like a perfect segue. I'm going to bring up another Kickstarter book. And this is Dwellings by Jay Stevens. And Levi, I should have mentioned this in our origin story. You were talking about Harvey Comics and being kind of embarrassed by it. So if you can see, I know there's maybe a bit of a glare, but this is obvious. This is in a Harvey Comics style.
Oh, 100%.
And and so here's some of the interior art. Now Jay, if people don't know who Jay Stevens is, I mean he goes way back in the comics world. He did some stuff with Paul Pope in the 90s. What was his book? Oh man, I can't remember, but I remember it was something city. Was it Astro City? Or was that the Kurt Busiek thing? I can't.
That was Busiek.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, Jay. I can't remember, and it's on the tip of my tongue.
Tell us in the comments what we're missing.
We really should prepare for these. Never.
Imagine what we would be capable of if we did.
It's probably not much better. But anyway, he's been kickstarting this. So this one right here, this is issue 5. He just ended the Kickstarter for issue 6, which I believe is going to be his final issue of Dwellings. He's been doing this for a few years. These are put out by Black Eye Books, which is run by what's his name? Michelle Veranda, I believe is his name. And he kickstarts a bunch of other stuff through Black Eye Books. And but I love these. These are done they're printed on newsprint, I believe, and they're print on demand. Like they've said, hey, we're doing these all on print on demand. But the presentation is great. He does it in this, going back, we were talking about using like a limited palette on another episode and stuff like that. That's what he does. He uses those 64 colors. He does it in that Harvey art style, like really cartoony, big heads, short bodies. But this is not for kids. Not for kids. And I think he's actually gotten some complaints. It's very well advertised all over his Kickstarter. Not for kids. This looks like it's for kids. It's not for kids. And every time they put out a new Kickstarter and the books start coming out, inevitably he goes, just a reminder, guys, not for kids.
Right.
But I'd also like go to his Instagram, and he posts a lot of videos of him inking the pages. He inks with a it's a Pinto, man, I've got one. Maybe I don't. It's like a Pentel pocket brush. It's the one where you can actually put the ink in it. You kind of squeeze it a little bit.
Yeah.
The ink flowing. Yeah. So he inks. Oh my God. Right here.
Happened.
Right here, guys.
Okay. You got
right. Yeah. So he inks with one of these. Dude, he is a master inker, and I love watching his videos. I love watching him ink. Every time I watch it, I go, man, do I really want to stay digital? It's enough that makes me want to go, man, I want to play around with real brushes again. But
you see?
Yeah, oh no, I know. Once you think you're out, they pull you back in. But
this and you want.
Yeah. So fun news about Dwellings though. He's kickstarted his 6 issues. But Oni Press has just started releasing reprints of them. So they combined the first 2 issues into a giant 1-page issue. They had to go to a 3rd printing to get that first issue out.
Dang.
So super great to see him having success with this series. It's really fun. If you like horror, if you like cute comics, absolutely go get Dwellings.
Hell yeah.
So, all right, what else you got, Levi?
I am getting my shit together because I want to tell you about crap. I want to tell you about the other book that I've backed just this weekend, and that is Bigfoot Knows Karate, the Hinagon chapters 1 and 2, which the Kickstarter is still open. Jump in there. Dan Price does Bigfoot Knows Karate. God, I hope I got his last. I was looking to find out, make sure I had his last name right.
Yeah.
Dan does Bigfoot Knows Karate, which is an amazing book, and it's also cool to like. It's a Bigfoot book, but it's as you can guess, is probably it's way off of what the Bigfoot I'm dealing with in my book. But it's still great. It's lesser known comics once again.
Because
And
in your book, the Bigfoot knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu, so it's completely different.
In my book, Bigfoot does not know karate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
You know,
Totally different.
so yeah, 100%. But I back. Right. So I back that, and I can't wait to get it.
Hell yeah.
Check that stuff up. Check it out. Check it up. Check it down. Whatever. And all the appropriate links will be in the description. Go give lesser known comics some love. It's sort of an imprint, and there are a lot of great creators who are involved with that.
Yeah. And I love that we've talked about 3 books now, and actually none of them, I mean, well, I guess maybe it's bad that none of them involved going to a comic book store and buying them. But these are all Kickstartered books direct to the consumer. And they're, they're finding love, and they're getting their funding.
Mm-hmm.
And and like I said, in the case of Dwellings, now Oni is publishing them and stuff like that, and he's getting an even wider audience.
Yep. I mean, that's the space we live in. If you're doing something creative, it's the means of production have sort of been democratized a little bit, and so you can put your stuff out, and that's what companies are looking for. They're have you sold as many as you can? You need someone like us to swing in and take the next step. That and you can say the same thing with record labels. Whatever that phrase means in 2023 going forward. If you're in a band and you want to get signed, make a bunch of records and you sell them yourself until you hit a threshold. And then you'll go, okay, well, we can take what they've done and we can boost it.
Well, and you know what though, and doing that, and how fiercely I try to remain independent, but saying that, having that experience of selling it on your own and kickstarting it and stuff like that, you'll know better what's a bad deal. If these guys come to you and go, oh, well, let me tell you what, kid, here's what we can do. They come to you and do that. You can say, well, you might have an instance where you go, I'll just keep doing it myself. There's no, why, I don't understand why I would give this to you for that deal when I'm making this or I'm selling this on my own.
Or I can kickstart my next one for
20. Right. So, I mean, going back to Dwellings with Jay, he said in interviews, and this is a guy who did a lot of comics. He's done a lot of animation work. If you guys have seen Secret Saturdays on Cartoon Network, that was his TV show. He said doing it through Kickstarter, that was the best page rate he's ever gotten paid in comics. So knowing the ins and outs is only going to help you if you have a company come to you and say, hey, here's what we can do to you, or do to you. Here's what we're going to do to you, kid. Here's what we can do for you. And you're going to have a better idea of going, actually, no, I can do way better. Or or the opposite and say, okay, actually, no, that's a good deal, and that takes
No,
some
yeah.
stuff off of my shoulders,
Yep.
and that's acceptable.
Yeah. And that's, we keep tying this into music because there are definitely parallels. My band, No Anger Control, we've had opportunities. We've had people approach us. End of the day, they couldn't do anything for us that we weren't already doing for ourselves.
Yeah.
For free. I mean, free in the sense that we are doing the labor. We're not writing a check now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think what you have to think about. Everyone wants to get published, and it'd be cool to see an image eye on the corner of my comic, but unless it can be something that I'm not doing for myself, there's no reason other than getting that, oh, it's published.
And I mean, this wasn't the point of this episode, but I can think of several times where creators have walked away from that to go back to doing their own thing. I mean, recent history would definitely be Michel Fife with Copra.
Yeah.
He started, publishing Copra at Image. Now they're still doing the trades and stuff like that. He still has a good relationship with them.
Right.
But he went away from doing the regular individual issues with Image back to doing it all himself and selling it on Etsy.
Yeah.
You don't do that if things are going great over at the other,
True.
I think part of it, I don't know, I can't speak for him. I don't know if it was a production thing. If you look at the Image individual issues versus what he does on Etsy, they're completely different. I mean, and quite honestly, the quality from the books you buy direct from him are vastly superior in quality, in my opinion. But there was that. I can remember, I mean, this was probably 15 years ago, Richard Stevens with Diesel Sweeties, which was one of the first web comics. He got syndicated by newspapers. That was the dream for people. They want to get syndicated by newspapers. And here he's on, doing, web comics and stuff like that, making a living doing it. And a syndicate, I can't remember which one, but it was one of the big ones. It was either King Features or whatever, came to him and started syndicating him in papers. He quit after a year. He said it wasn't worth the time and the money.
Damn.
So it's always like we said, it's always important, that idea of being published, that idea of having those people take care of stuff and everything. It's great. I just sometimes is it really just a badge of honor? Is it really just, I had that badge, I can say I was published, by someone who wasn't me. It doesn't mean it's better.
Then it comes down to distribution. Just because it's wide distribution, that does not translate into wide circulation. And a perfect example from a different industry I'll give you is the reissue skateboard market, right? The companies, it's been over 10 years that it's been a very strong, it's been probably closer to 20 years that the reissue skateboard market has been a thing. And on the onset, they would make quantities that they could just put in the stores. Go into a store, you look over, it's like, oh my God, I remember having that board when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were doing that. I'd like to have one again. But as time has dragged on, the companies realize it's much more profitable to put out a very, very limited amount of these boards. Because when you talk about like profit margins and costs, overhead, all that kind of stuff, they will probably sell out if they put them all, if every shop gets 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
But profitability and making the graphs on the paperwork, be optimal. We're going to do a limited. They're going to sell out before they're even released, or within 3 minutes of them being released. and we've made well what we need to make on that, and we don't have to wait for them to get out in the world.
Well, and you know, and you're
And goes with
making
comics, you know.
yeah, and you're making a limited item, and you're you know, and so you can charge for that. You know, that look, we're making a finite amount of these.
Yep.
And so you can charge accordingly for that, you know, and you know, and I think you need to stick to it. You can't say, hey, I'm going to do a print of this and it's limited to 50 copies and they're $30 each or something like that, and then you sell out of them, and then you go, just kidding, I got another one, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think you need to hold true to that.
100%.
But you know, I
that's where your second printing and your variations,
yeah,
come into play. But
right,
but yeah, I mean, it's not manipulating the market, but it's like understanding really what that share is.
Yeah,
and giving just slightly giving above what you need, but slightly less what you calculate the market wants, and creating demand that way.
Yeah,
it works with the vintage skateboard reissues.
Hey, I just yeah, you know, I'm so over my teenage punk rock, like, you know, I'm not selling out, don't make money. You know, it gets old. People should deserve to get
This IP is for fucking sale.
yeah. Yeah. Mine too, guys. Mine too.
DC, you know, Time Warner, you have not had a cinematic hit with comic book shit. You're looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You're next dead.
Come on. All right, so let's move on with picks. Is it my turn? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Okay. So this was not Kickstartered. So I got a manga collection. It's pretty thick. Look how big that motherfucker is. So this is Cat-Eyed Boy by Kazuo Umez. And Umez is a legendary horror mangaka. A few years ago, Viz started putting out his Drifting Classroom series, which I highly recommend. I don't have it in physical form. I've been reading it on their the Viz app, which is actually a really cool app. It's not very expensive, and you get lots of stuff on there. So I've been reading through that, and when they announced the Cat-Eyed Boy, I was real excited because I knew of it, but I didn't know really much about it. I knew Cat-Eyed Boy was a thing. I knew that was a famous manga character. I knew it was horror, and that's kind of where my knowledge ended. So getting to read these stories, and they're kind of curated. I don't think they're going in order or whatever. But I mean, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any dates. I know there were some dates on here at some point. Yeah, here we go. So we're talking. This stuff was from the late '60s. So late '60s to early '70s, is when this stuff was coming out.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's another. Well, there's a bunch of glare on there.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely like an older style of manga. But I love it. I love horror. I love Umez's style. Everything I've seen from him, I really like. And I think what I appreciate the most about it, obviously the art always attracts me first. But they're just so fucking weird. And there's something about, you know, we talked a little bit about it with Junji Ito on the manga episode. But they're working at such a pace, and I think it just makes the stuff weirder and weirder to where you're like, what the hell is happening? And I think it's just like they got to get a new story out, you know, next week, you know. And so they go out on these just crazy left fields, and I just love how weird it is. And it's something that I've been trying to it's hard for me, but I'd love to incorporate more into my own work to where I'm like, just like don't worry so much. Just get it out there, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's weird, but maybe it'll be, you know, really fun because it's so weird, you know.
Right.
So but I highly recommend that. It's put out by Viz. Like I think they call it the Viz signature series. So whenever it's something like not super mainstream, that's a little darker, they put it under that. But I mean, I bought this at Barnes and Noble. You know, it's not hard to find. Um, going back to dwellings, you know, I saw Jay Stevens, he posted, he just picked this up and he was super excited. And you know, I messaged him on whatever social media, and I was like, dude, dwellings and cat-eyed boy are both on my like bedroom end table right now. And he was like, oh, I'm in great company or something like that, you know. So yeah, it, you know, if you guys like horror, if you like old comics, you know, definitely check out Cat-Eyed Boy.
Nice.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I recently went down to my LCS.
Local comic store?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
No, my lower cloacal specialist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That actually makes way more sense with how our lives have been going recently, but yeah, all right.
but I got, you know, picked up what was in my bag. So a little behind on the curve, but I got my already had issue number one, but I got the rest of the Red Room Crypto
Oh,
Killers
cool.
chapters. And I mean, like every cover, I mean, get the reference.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this one, that's G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 26.
Uh-huh.
Origin of Snake Eyes homage.
Yeah.
You know. And but one thing I noticed is like these covers are like that, sort of like a stock. You know what I mean? Which kind
Uh-huh.
of surprised me. And um and this one here like carries, maybe I missed the boat, but there's like the Eros logo on this one too.
Ha!
And you know, Monster Comics. So I kind of, you know, along with Fantagraphics. So I kind of like, I guess I didn't get the uh uh director's commentary. I don't know why that's
Well,
on.
Eros was just a subsidiary of Fantagraphics.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
Eros was their adult line.
Mhm.
So that's where all their porn comics and stuff like that. And then, so I mean, it's just Fantagraphics.
And I might have a few.
Yeah, I don't think look at you pretending you don't know what fucking Eros comics are.
But yeah, but so I got to looking, and so I pulled out like, I think this was my first Red Room, um antisocial network.
Uh-huh.
It does have sort of like a stock sort of like cover,
Yeah.
thick. But then I got number one of trigger warnings, and it has a floppy,
Yeah.
cover. So I'm just curious, and maybe they've explained that on their show or whatever. But I'm curious of the different cover stocks, and is that something that Eddie P has a say over? The Fantagraphics just chooses what paper they use based on whatever they want to base that decision on. I don't know.
I'm sure he's got a say on it. I think it's like the number one selling Fantagraphics book of all time at this point.
Yeah,
So
it's got to be, but
I'm sure he's got some say.
why jumping back and forth between different cover stocks?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Because I think I was telling you, I mean, I think I got the first issue of Red Room, like the very first one. And then I've just been getting the trade paperbacks. Um, but I'm pretty sure the first one's just it's a floppy cover. It's not
Yeah.
card stock or anything.
Yeah. So by issue 4, it, it's some kind of stock paper. So
Yeah. I don't know, like, man,
Yes.
I prefer a floppy cover.
Me too.
I mean but it depends. I don't know. Like I've seen, so I don't know if you remember or had the Paul Pope THB when he put out issue 6, but he put out issue 6 as like 4 issues. So there's 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all like giant, like they're saddle stitched, but they're like each one's like 64 to 72 pages. And they're great. I love them. But the cover he used a card stock. Now on that, for me it really worked. I really liked the card stock. So I don't know. I think it just depends. It depends on the book, I guess. Sometimes I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's like an artistic decision. So it's like for me, it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like Copra with Michel Fife, like I think he uses a card stock on the stuff he prints. I think it worked. And then sometimes I'd prefer a floppier book.
All of your copies of Man Thing are floppy.
I like a thick floppy Man Thing. So
4 pages.
yeah, give me a just 64 page floppy Man Thing, giant sized Man Thing, and I'll just spend hours poring over it.
All the no fear burns at the touch of the Man Thing.
Just me and my sock. Because my feet are cold.
All right.
Just one of them.
Dude, that takes us as far as we're going today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, do the damn thing. Do the man.
Do the man thing.
That's enough.
Bye.